My name is Brenna Simmons-St. I think I know most of you in the room, or I've met you guys outside. I work here at the Alliance for Sustainable Colorado, and I head up our education, community outreach, and programming. And this is one of those programs, and it's in collaboration with the Denver Office of Sustainability, and this event series is called Love This Place. Why is it called Love This Place? Well, we love Denver, we really do, and it's a really special place in our hearts, and a special place to the people who live here, and a special place in Colorado. And one of a leading sustainability topic for those of you who know sustainability is place-based. And that's really what Love This Place is basing what we do through our love of the place we live in. So the Alliance helps do that in many different ways, and our overall mission is really to transform sustainability from vision to reality. But looking around the room, I think most all of you have been here or are tenants here. If this is your first time in the Alliance, raise your hand. But you're a new tenant, right? So welcome. CFR with recycling, right? Yes, welcome to the building. We love having you here. So I'll save you the kind of overall mission of the Alliance. I think you folks are mostly pretty familiar with that, and go right into what to expect for today. So we do have this action form that, did you pass it out?
Action plan, yeah.
Okay, it's an action form or an action plan, and as you heard in the event promotion, the goal of these events is really to connect people and residents to action-oriented solutions around alternative routes, and how do we show our love for Denver by our transportation. And the highlight of this event is really biking. We have Bike to Work Days on June 22nd, and so we really want to promote that and highlight that as a current event this month. Not all of the groups you'll hear today are primarily bike focused, but they all tie in some greater picture. So as you're writing down, you'll hear resources, you'll hear different things from organizations, and this is really your action plan to keep and take home with you. And write down, what tools and takeaways you have from today. And then after the presentations, there'll be a chance to engage with the presenters on a one-on-one basis out here in the Hub Cafe and really work on your action plan. Again, this is for you to keep and to develop in your life. We don't need it back. Anything else to add on that one?
No.
Okay. So the run of show today, we'll hear from Denver Public Works first, and then we'll hear from Dr. Codd with Way to Go. Then we'll transition to Bike Denver. Then we'll hear from the Transit Alliance, we'll hear from Walk Denver, we'll hear from RTD, and then we'll close the presentation with a group called SISTA, which is actually not a transportation group, and we'll let David explain more about the work that they're doing, tying kind of a common thread through different sustainability programming, through some apps and online websites that they're developing and resources. And then Jesse will close us off with a bit more information about Love This Place and how you can continue your involvement and continue to show Denver how much you love this place through your sustainability actions and incorporating what you learned today in your everyday lives. And then after that, we'll have about 20 to 30 minutes of tabling outside here. And after that, we have a happy hour. So if you don't have plans tonight, please stay with us. We've got wonderful happy hour planned and just another way to continue the conversation. One note to the presenters is we will kind of play timekeeper. We have about 10 minutes for each presentation and then have enough time for a few questions afterwards. So I'll be sitting over there. If we're getting close to time, I'll raise my hand and just let you know so we can keep the event flowing smoothly. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome Denver Public Works.
Hi, my name's Dan Rain. I am with Denver Public Works, if you haven't figured that out by now. And I am a senior city planner with Denver Public Works. Sorry, I just want to make sure it gets up there. And yes, I love this place too, and I'm glad that you do as well. So I'm here to talk about Denver Moves Bicycles. And wow, why is bicycling so hot? Have you tried to get around the city lately? Everyone's moving here, 40 plus people a day. Let that sink in. 40 plus people a day. David just covered how the mayor's even saying the bicycles are an important part of transportation mobility, and they really are. We have a challenge. We have a certain amount of right-of-way, and expanding our streets, making them wider is just not the way we want to go. A lot of places I've lived, maybe you all have too, lost their quality of life when you widen streets and make it a little more difficult to walk and bike around. So that is our challenge. People want to bike. People want to walk. It's acceptable. A lot of people will say, hey, 3 miles bike ride, I'm not even going to really break a sweat. Maybe this afternoon. But it's dry. It'll go away. All right, try it again. Okay. So what makes a bike-friendly city? We've heard that term a lot. Denver is currently a silver level bicycle-friendly city according to the League of American Bicyclists. Well, yep, Public Works does cover infrastructure, but it takes a village, or if you would, a city, to be a bike-friendly city. And that starts not just with Public Works, but it starts with our friends in advocacy that are pushing the transportation management agencies. Dr. Cobb, who just helps find funding when it's really tough to find, to build and improve our infrastructure. And it also takes people like yourselves, too. Every single one of you. And we will talk about that in just a few minutes. We also have the Mayor's Bicycle Advisory Committee. I have to mention that. So we are listening to a lot of different folks. We are participating, and we're friends with all common purpose to make this city easier to bike on. What's our overall goals? Two main ones. By 2020, we want to have a bicycle mode share of 15% citywide. We're at Downtown Denver Partnership says we're about 6% with downtown, but we're lagging behind at 3% for citywide. So we have a lot of work still to do there. And right now, about half the city is within a quarter mile of a higher ease of use bicycle facility. What is higher ease of use? Think low stress. You know, we all have stress in our matters of lives. Sometimes we just don't feel it, but you know there is stress there. But when we get into transportation, we get delay, frustration rises, so there's stress. We want to provide bicycle facilities that you're not stressing out. But hopefully you're also a smart cyclist and you're well prepared so that you're used to traffic conditions. We're making progress. Our overall plan calls for 500 miles of bikeways in Denver. 500 miles. We're not there yet. Last year we were at about 130. We're adding about 15 more miles this year. We've invested in protected bike lanes as well. We still have a long way to go, but we're working towards that. We're also trying to get rid of how should I say this? Sharrows. You ever seen them? The little bike guy? You know what? They're okay when they're combined with other different types of treatments, but in by themselves, not very good. So let's talk about some of our projects, where we are, what we're learning, and how we have to continue to improve. And everyone probably remembers when 15th Street bike lane added a vertical element to kind of separate that bike lane. But we also learned that mixing zones at intersections are high stress. So with several other projects to talk about in a bit, we are going to be revisiting those mixing facilities, and particularly the intersections, because intersections is where conflict happens. And the same story continues on with our other facilities. Lawrence protected bike lane. Wow. Connects to Auraria. What's up? Okay. So connects from Auraria campus, takes you through downtown. Looks pretty good. We've tried different types of facilities, but we're not quite there yet. So along with 15th Street, we're going to revisit some of those intersections. And with that, we've also been working on Arapahoe. In Arapahoe, we've tried several different intersection treatments, but in particular, bicycle signals. Contraflow protected bike lane to cross Broadway. Broadway has been a barrier to mobility for many people. Now we have a way to cross it, and we're going to continue to explore and enhance those. But with the 15th Street, Lawrence, and Arapahoe, we're going to be working with some experts to revisit some of our intersection designs, evaluate them, look at some of our vertical treatments as well, too. Those plastic bollards, they work pretty good, but they get pretty scruffy after a year, especially winter. So we have to kind of rethink that as well. Other items we're doing? So we have 14th Street that will be installed this summer. 14th Street already has a bike lane, so why would we install that? Anyone ever went into interactions with taxis on 14th Street in the convention center? I know I have. So this is going to be interesting because it's going to be curb separated. We've not done that before, and it's a pre-built curb that we pop into place with steel reinforcement. It should be pretty interesting to see how it works out. It's the challenge is 2 years ago we were ready to go with a protected bike lane, but the improvement district, 14th Street, said we don't want 15th Street treatments on 14th. So we had to go back to the drawing board, and so we'll be looking to install that this summer, please ride it and check it out. We also have a couple other, Champa and Stout. Those will be a buffered bike lane, and then we will have protected bike lanes with them. We had a very interesting opportunity with that, but we also had interesting feedback. Apparently there was parking envy. Some folks were upset they only had an 8-foot wide parking lane on one side of the street, but the other side of the street gets a 10-foot wide parking lane. Why is that? It's not a discriminatory parking policy, I can assure you of that, but it was something interesting we haven't accounted for. 19th and 20th, that's a large-scale construction project where we'll actually be dyeing the concrete green. So it's a new way to kind of reduce maintenance. Because as much as we build these, if we never revisit them with maintenance, probably wouldn't be much use for you after a while. So those are costs that we're trying to kind of keep down. Another one that's coming is the 21st Street Festival Street. That'll be a couple of short blocks that'll be temporarily closed off to traffic and allow for bicycle and pedestrian movement, but also kind of reactivating that street space, which is also pretty exciting, anticipating that later this summer. Oh, anyone here we're working on Broadway? Maybe some of you have. We did a study, we developed concepts for 2015, and I'll talk about that again in just a moment, but we are leading a demonstration project later this year, and that definitely is an action item for everyone here. Brighton Boulevard will be a protected, grade-separated bicycle facility, parking protected, back of curb protected. That's exciting. That's part of the reconstruction of Brighton, and that'll occur next year. 13th and 14th Avenues, we want to extend those bike lanes further west and enhance those as well. So those will, I know that 14th is protected. I have to double check on 13th. And then 18th and 19th as well. We'll be exploring a design in those and public involvement process starting next year as well. So what else we have for you? So here's where we were in 2008. A very well-deserved criticism of our network is, where's the north and south? We don't all move east and west. And you're right. So where are we in 15? We're making a lot of progress, but it's still a disconnected city. We're very fortunate to have the trail system that we do. We're very fortunate to have parks and recreation out there. People say, wow, they clear the snow off those trails. They are on it. And Public Works should get parks to clear their streets and their bike lanes. Yeah, you want to know why Parks is so good with clearing their trails? It's because they don't have to clear our bike lanes. They are on it, but we are learning from them as well. And we'll actually be having delivered specialty snow removal equipment later this summer for our protected bike lanes in downtown. So moving on to next year, we're going to continue, this year, we are filling the gaps. Has anyone ridden the new 29th bike lane? Do you like it?
Oh, I love it.
Nice smooth pavement. We're starting to time it a little better. We got to get that notice from our streets folks. Hey, we're paving. One example, we're working on South Lowell Boulevard, leaving the city and county of Denver. And that's interesting because that'll be bike lanes, but believe it or not, we are going to use sharrows on it. Why? Because there's a 1 mile downhill where bikes are almost traveling faster than traffic. You don't need a bike lane for that. You're going to fly down that hill. Promote and ride Bike to Work Day. It's the one swag civic center, all the workstations that Bike to Work stations that Bike Denver does. Be a participant. Encourage others. Let your neighbor know that you're a bicyclist. Maybe you're going to have an interaction with them on the street if they're driving and you're riding, and hopefully it's a good one. Because sometimes people forget when they're in their cars, they become a different person. So remind them that they're still a good person even though they're outside their car. Attend our public meetings. You know, there is nothing better than seeing Bike Denver lead a bunch of folks into meetings like on Broadway. Guys, it was great. Because we had over 100 people in the room and lots of different opinions. But, you know, as staff, it's just really comforting to know that we have the support, we know who they are. Lastly, support Bike Denver and your transportation management agencies. There are so many simple ways, and I know you guys will talk about it, I won't steal your thunder, but you know, this Sunday you could just raise a glass and support Bike I waited over a year and a half to join Bike Denver. Boy, that was stupid. But I did. And you know what? They are out there, they're promoting, they're our voice, and they're going to help you be a bicycling ambassador and be an advocate. There are a couple of great opportunities and 5 points coming up with training and helping people how to learn to ride. What a phenomenal opportunity. I mean, that's how people might be against it because they just don't know how much fun it is. Let's show them how fun it is. Lastly, Broadway is coming. I don't know why that disappeared, but it's a 2-way cycle track we are going to be installing on Broadway late this summer. And safety is our utmost criteria for making it a success, but please know the public will be judging on how well it's used. If that's an empty facility and no one's using it, we will not have the support. Ride the Broadway demonstration project. You'll see it in August, and we'll definitely be sharing more information as that. I'll be outside with, I've got some information about our 5-year report, where we're coming from. I've got a map of our 2016 projects, so please come by and I'm happy to chat with you. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Cross streets for the Broadway?
The limits, it was option 1, Bay out to Virginia. Anything else?
Is that the test? The test cycle track?
The demonstration project, David,
Yes.
that we've been talking about for months? Yeah, absolutely. You got it. It sure is.
But we don't know if it's going to get any longer. Yeah.
We can talk about that.
But we just don't. That's not part of this.
Not part of the demonstration project. No, this is more about testing the facility, testing out. We're installing a dozen new bicycle signal heads. We're experimenting with signal timing. We're rearranging parking. We're dealing with over a dozen driveways and making sure they don't conflict. It's a huge challenge. So rather than spending millions of dollars for something where still we need to work the bugs out, we're picking a very concentrated area with a lot of strong support from local businesses. And we'll see how it works out. But we can talk more about that side. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, up next, we're going to hear from Ken with Dr. Cog's My Way to Go program.
Hello.
Well, my name's Ken Bowden. I'm with the Way to Go program with the Denver Regional Council of Governments. And my life right now is almost 24/7 Bike to Work Day. Right now, just to kind of give you some statistics, we work with over 800, specifically 812 companies in the Denver metro area. Currently, for 2016, we have 550 that are signed up and are participating. So over the next month, I anticipate that we'll have the rest of the 300 on board participating. I kind of wanted to give you a little idea of what we're shooting for this year. We're shooting for a participation number of right around 34,000 people in the Denver metro area participating for Bike to Work Day. That means that we need to get at least 20,000 people signed up on our website. And those people that don't sign up, the way we actually find them is that we do a little survey at our breakfast stations. And our breakfast stations currently, we're at about 150. Last year we had 222 breakfast stations around the metro area. So it's really an exciting event. And this is actually kind of a small sliver of what I actually do. And what I wanted to talk about, first of all, is who Way to Go is. Way to Go is 7 transportation management associations over the metro area. It includes Boulder Area Transportation Connections, Northeast Transportation Connections, we have the Downtown Denver Partnership with us, and Denver South. All of us together work to try to bring transportation options to both Here we go. To schools and to businesses. And my colleague, Mia Bemelin, has been working with the School Pool program for over 20 years. School Pool has become kind of a model for the nation. She's constantly interviewed by organizations all over the country, all over the world. Folks from New Zealand have talked to her about helping out with their program. Kind of give you an idea, we have 149 schools participating in School Pool. That accounts for 18,000 families that are served by the School Pool program. When we survey those folks, we find out that 38% of them have actually formed a carpool. And when we get into spring, what's really exciting about this is that sometimes the carpool goes away. And we have students that are walking together and riding bikes together. I think this is actually really exciting in terms of getting kids at this early age forming carpools, getting familiar with the concept of carpool, and getting familiar and getting ingrained with the idea that you can actually commute by bicycle to school. We provide materials for Bike to School Day. That was May 12th this year. And we've served over 20 schools in Denver, and then we've reached out to over 45 additional schools around the metro area. In terms of employer services, really what I want to talk about are some of the services that we provide employers. We help analyze, we help inform, and we help encourage alternative transportation options. So what I mean by analyze is that we work with employers to survey their employees. Right now we're trying to put together a survey for the city of Denver employees. But this is kind of a standard practice. We want to try to figure out how employees are commuting to work. And then we want to try to find out what options they're willing to try, and to try to establish some of the barriers that are keeping them from trying those other options. And out of this, one of the questions that we ask is where are you coming from? What origin, what part of the city are you traveling from to get to work? And when we look at this, it gives us a nice little dot map. You can see where people are coming from all over the region. And it also gives us an opportunity to give some individualized transportation options for people. We can work with their employees, try to group people into carpools, and try to give them, for instance, specific bicycle routes that will get them to where they need to be. That's really kind of getting into the informational section of this. And then we also try to come up with campaigns, big programs that employees and employers can join in. Bike to Work Day is one of our largest programs that we have. But we also have a couple other programs that we're rolling out. Last year was the first year that we ran Go-Tober. And Go-Tober was a chance to get people at 25 different businesses around the metro area to participate. This year we want to try to expand it to 50. And it includes all modes, not just bicycling, not just carpooling, but the use of transit. And from our kind of pilot project last year, one of the things that we discovered are the businesses in downtown kind of have an unfair advantage with Union Station being close by. We had a lot of folks or a lot of companies who, if you look at the amount of activity that they were generating, most of it was transit related. And we actually expect that to climb with the opening of the A line, and later this year with the opening of the B and the G line. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to actually level the playing ground, or basically make it a fair trial, so that companies that are, for instance, in the EcoPass A zone would be competing against one another, and people that are more in the suburban areas would be competing against one another. And already we're getting a lot of interest. I think it's going to be tough to whittle down the 50 companies that we need to get this off the ground this year. The idea would be in the future to take Go-tober and make it something like Bike to Work Day, where it's just open to all businesses throughout the metro area. Really, I just have one final call to action, and it's really the same call to action that Dan had. And that's simply to sign up on Bike to Work Day on our website. That's biketoworkday.us. If you have a company and your company isn't signed up, take initiative and sign your company up for Bike to Work Day. And thank you for allowing me to present.
Thank you.
So any questions? Thank you so much. So now we have one of our wonderful tenants who actually offices out of the building here, Bike Denver.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Sam Lauer. I'm the Education Outreach Coordinator for Bike Denver. I feel like you did such a wonderful job, Dan, that I should have you come up here and talk about it a
You
little
can
bit.
cut me later.
We'll see about that. So Bike Denver is Denver's bicycle advocacy organization, and our vision is a thriving Denver with ever more people moving by bicycle. Our mission is to transform bicycling in Denver, and I'll get to how we hope to go about that in just a second. But first, I'd like to talk about really who our audience is. So when we talk about bicyclists, there was a researcher in Portland a while back named Geller who talked about 4 categories of bicyclists, and they are no way, no how, the interested but concerned, enthused and confident, and strong and fearless. The strong and fearless and the enthused and confident are individuals who really will take it into their own hands to bike, right? Whether there's infrastructure or not, they're going to be the ones that figure out how to bike on their own, wherever they're going. No way, no how, those people are not going to bike no matter the circumstances. So really what we're interested in at Bike Denver is that interested but concerned element, right? And oftentimes what we see is their concern is over safety, whether that's connectivity, accessibility to bicycle infrastructure, whatever it is, they somehow feel intimidated by getting on their bicycle, and that prevents them from riding. So this little chart on the right serves to kind of demonstrate that point, and that if you look at the enthused and confident, with no bicycle facility, only 8% feel either very comfortable or somewhat comfortable riding their bikes. That's a low percentage. And that goes considerably higher if there's a bike lane or even a separated lane. So when we're looking at our audience, the way that we try to approach them and try to capture that interested but concerned and get them to bike more often is really through a 3-pronged approach. One is community engagement. So Bike Denver participates in a lot of events like Bike to Work Day, Bike to Work Wednesdays, where they're just fun, engaging events to get people out and to see the fun in riding their bicycle. Another one is education. So we have a bicycle ambassador grant that's coming up here soon. It focuses on 2 different communities, Baker and 5 Points, and there'll be a whole spectrum of bicycle education classes from Learn to Ride up until a 9-hour course called Traffic Skills 101. So that education is helping that interested but concerned population learn how to use the infrastructure we have, right? Because that's what that's what we have, right? So we need to be able to use that effectively. And then the third one is advocacy. So the Bicycle Ambassador Grant is advocacy through education, and also our advocacy focuses on corridors like Broadway, where last year we did the 3-day pop-up demonstration lane. This year we wrote letters to all city council members asking them to focus on mobility in the 2017 budget to increase funding for what's it? Denver Moves. There we go. I should know that. So that's the third one: advocacy, education, and community engagement. So, love your commute. I'd like to draw your attention to the bird in the middle. I put that in there for 2 reasons. One is to put a bird on it in your presentation. And the second reason, does anyone know what kind of bird that is?
It's a roadrunner.
It's a roadrunner. Yeah, so the many benefits of bicycle commuting is one, as a roadrunner is, it's fast, right? I guarantee anyone in this room that within a 2 to 3 mile radius of downtown, I could get on my bicycle, you could get in your car, especially around rush hour, and I will get here quicker than you will in a car. So it's much, much quicker, especially with all the infrastructure that Public Works is putting in. Another one is it saves us money. There's all kinds of estimates on how much it saves us, so I'm not going to go into the exact pennies of it, but it easily saves you thousands of dollars a year if you're commuting by bicycle and not getting in your car every day, right? A third one is that it leads to a healthier lifestyle, right? I don't often have time to make it to the gym, but I do ride my bike every day, and I consider that my exercise most of the time. The fourth is that it brings community, right? Events like Bike to Work Wednesdays, you'll see familiar faces, and it really draws people in, that community. And then the other one is its place setting, right? So in the pop-up demonstration, that was supported heavily by the Broadway Merchant Association. And when we had that demonstration, I think a powerful part of that demonstration is you saw all of these businesses who were putting out tents, tables, and they were taking over the sidewalk. And you saw this transformation of what Broadway could be. It's not just this place for cars to go 45 miles an hour through, but it's a place for bicyclists, it's a place for pedestrians, it's a place really for everyone. So that is the reason why I think you should bicycle commute. Owning your commute. The one in the middle, I put that in there, the guy on the bike and all the fancy getup, because you don't need to be that person. You can if you want to, but I think in Colorado especially, we have almost an unhealthy obsession with gear. And it can be kind of an obstacle for individuals who want to get into bicycling and feel like they have to have all of that gear, right? So it's very, very simple. All you need to begin with are a helmet, a lock, a U-lock. Don't get a combination lock. Those will be cut in Denver and your bike will be gone. So a U-lock, that's not to scare you from bicycling. Just don't need a combination. Okay? And then a bike, right? And if you're riding at night, get some lights. It's that simple. It can be $200, $300, and you'll make that money back so quickly. The other quick things for owning your commute is just route finding. Google Maps, there's Denver bicycle maps that we have, we give out for free. They're right outside. If you'd like one, please take one. Knowing how to get from your destination A to B, the fastest route is not always the best route, right? So look for those low stress, low volume corridors, and look for bicycle infrastructure. If it's there and you're using it, that's advocating for showing a need to the city of Denver of why we should have more bicycle infrastructure. And then the last is weather, right? Weather in Colorado can be unpredictable, so I would always recommend to check the weather before you get out on your commute. And there's a whole list of other recommendations I could give you that I don't have time for, but with that Bicycle Ambassador Grant, one of the classes is Commuting 101, so I would encourage you to check our website. It will be coming up in maybe the next month, and there'll be opportunities to take that class, and I can go on about it for much longer. The last thing I will say about this, is, did anyone read recently in the news about the school children in rural China, how they get to school every day?
Yes.
The ladders,
How do they do it?
climbing it, like, yeah, 2.5 hours of ladders.
Yeah, so there's a group of school children in China who climb up a bamboo ladder up a sheer cliff that's 2,600 feet tall. And they do that to be able to have an education. And the reason why I bring it up is because if they can climb a 2,600 bamboo ladder up a sheer cliff, I'm pretty sure that each of us in our own way can figure out how to commute at least once in a while, if not more frequently. The last thing I will say of how you can get involved. Number one, quite simply, just ride your bike. Ride your bike, use the infrastructure that's out there, show that there's a need. The more numbers we have, the safer it becomes. The more it proves to Denver and our administration and the leaders that we need more funding for bicycling in this city. Number two is you can become a member of Bike Denver. Don't wait as long as Dan did to become a member of Bike Denver. You can do it today if you'd like. It helps our advocacy, and in addition to helping our advocacy, there are a lot of benefits that you get out of it. Discounts at bike shops, so it pays for itself within like a purchase. So become a member. It helps grow our voice when we're asking the city to increase funding and to increase the presence of bicyclists in Denver. The third one is to advocate for bikes. There's a number of ways you can do that. You can write your city council representative, just like we wrote a letter asking for increased funding. You can do the same thing. If you don't know who your city council representative is, we have a map that shows all the different districts. So you can ask either Karina, she's also with Bike Denver, or myself. We'd be happy to show you. So you can, that's one way. Volunteer with Bike Denver. We have a lot of events throughout the year that we absolutely depend on volunteers. We have a small staff, and without volunteers, we would not be able to do a fraction of the things we do. So they're really the lifeblood of Bike Denver, and we really appreciate volunteers. The last thing is helping friends to start riding. If you have a friend, just as Dan said, whatever it is, go on a ride with them if they're scared to ride on their own, and show them how to get from point A to point B. Give them little tips on how to ride in traffic, or whatever it is. If you get one more person bicycling, and a lot of us do that, it results in a lot more bicyclists on the road. Thank you.
Any questions for Sam?
I have one, Karina.
Yes, Karina.
Can you go back a few slides? There was a fun picture.
Did you want to see the bird?
Yeah, that one. Yep.
Wait a second.
Yeah. So that one in the right corner.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the reason why I put that picture up is because that's in the set. Thank you for asking that question, teeing me up for that one. This is in the middle of London at a really, really busy corridor and intersection. And if you notice, they have a little bike signal, and then right next to that bike signal, they have a horse signal. Which I thought was pretty cool. Can't wait to ride my horse in downtown London.
Any other questions for Sam?
Thank you.
Thank you, Bike Denver. Up next, I think we're going to hear from the Transit Alliance. Kathleen is going to present. Find your slides.
Right, thanks.
Another alliance tenant.
Yeah. So we too love this place. That's probably why we're presenting this afternoon. But we've been loving this place and this metro region for 18 years now. And you can see from our mission and vision, one thing that we hold very dear is the education of our citizens. And much of our work through the course of our 18-year history has really been on preparing people for this idea of how transit could impact some of the changes and the growth of our region. And for us, it's interesting because transit is just one piece of the puzzle. And for us, you might imagine with a name like Transit Alliance, transit's kind of in our DNA, but really it's the starting point for so many more ideas about mobility and really blends together. So that's kind of where I want to spend a little bit of time. You know, from our standpoint, because that education becomes so central, one of the things that we put a ton of time and energy into is our Transit Alliance Citizens Academy, which now we have over 788 graduates. I see a couple in the audience. Wait, I saw another one. So we really focus a lot of time and energy on that because we think it's vitally important to keeping people up to speed on what's going on. So for those of you that may not be familiar with the Citizens Academy, it's a 7-week program. And in large part, we focus on education, some of the changing things that are happening here in the region. And then we also focus on that idea of building relationships. So finding people that you have things in common with, as well as this idea that you can be empowered to play a role and really find a way to impact. We do that through our own individual action plans. So we walk people through over the course of 7 weeks to think about a project that they can take on within 6 months of graduating from the program and really think about things that are in their lives. We've had somebody with an action plan that said, I'm going to get all of my girlfriends and we're going on a drinking trip by bike. Step 1 action plan, by bike. Right? So I mean, it can be, it's that lifestyle change, all the way up to someone deciding that they want to be part of that policymaker landscape and run for elected office. So it's a pretty big diversity of action plans, but what we like in the end is that everyone feels that sense of empowerment. Okay, is that my cue?
Time's up.
That's my cue, right? Like at the Oscars, I just keep talking, right? So right, exactly. But obviously the biggest piece for us right now is because we started with that transit idea. One of the things that we were most excited about, so 18 years of history, we got started in 1997 when voters said absolutely no way to mass transit, the Guide the Ride vote that happened in 1997. So over the next 7 years, we went out and built a constituency that said yes to transit, which then became a campaign, and voters flip-flopped that from 58% saying no to 58% saying yes, which if you follow polling or any sort of election results is a resounding yes to transit. I really do feel very sad that I did not put a bird on this. I did want to illustrate how some of that changing landscape is happening for mobility because it is, I'm sure a bird could have gotten there too, right? Especially Roadrunner. If only I were in New Mexico, they have their trains called the Roadrunner. Did you know that? That changing landscape is really something that we're very excited about and spend a lot of time talking in the Citizens Academy, that it's become a menu. You have choices, there are opportunities to connect and use multiple modes as part of that, which I think for us, we moved into the Alliance Center 6 months ago, mostly because we have great partners here with Walk Denver and Bike Denver, and other sustainability partners, and we saw this great opportunity to start to blend this menu together, particularly from our education platform. Let's move slow. So, you know, that idea of the commute, that's the one thing, the call to action that we're really considering for both our Citizens Academy, the people that we interact with, but my call to action for you today is to think about this combination. I know Bike to Work Day last year was a big challenge in the afternoon. So that combination became critical to how you started to think about biking. Was it tornadoes, right? And crazy weather and hugely volatile spring weather. So we won't hope for that again. But it is one of the things that we like most about how this menu has opened up. It doesn't necessarily just mean that bus, bike, walk, train, but there are also other services that we've seen the growth of with Lyft and Uber, car sharing, and so we're really kind of looking at that greater landscape and greater menu. So one of the things that's also very exciting, of course, is the technology, right? It's so much easier to kind of, Sam talked a little bit about using Google Maps to plan your trip, but it really does provide an opportunity to kind of look at that combination. This is my program manager's actual commute to work, right? Yeah. Jamie Perkins, if you haven't gotten to meet her, Dynamo of Energy over there. So, but she starts her Dynamo day with a bike ride and then a train ride and then a walk from Union Station. So you walk your bike on the sidewalk because you're not supposed to ride it there, right? That's right. So my biking exposure in my lifetime was both having the chance to study overseas in Austria and then have the chance to live and work in Germany. And I miss that kind of biking, in all honesty, because it's a lot more predictable and Germans are very good at following the rules. Same. So I mentioned that we moved here 6 months ago really because we wanted to explore those partnerships. I think one of the first opportunities that we've had is really to work on the Vision Zero Coalition, which has been spearheaded by Walk Denver. I don't know if you'll spend much time talking about that, but we are really focused on how can we create an opportunity that there are 0 traffic fatalities and serious injuries. But the reality is that we all want a more walkable, bikeable city. We want all of these things, but we don't always follow the rules. I think, was that Dan's comment earlier that we're a different person in our car, right? Like, so there is, we are human and we are distracted by, so many things in our car. But that is the one call to action that I would really like to express this afternoon is we are responsible for ourselves in all of those modes, both how we follow the rules when we're walking, when we're biking, when we're riding transit, but also when we're behind the wheel of our own vehicles. And that means following the speed limit as well as, not messing around with that phone. So that's an important piece to the work that we're doing together. But I think there's also an opportunity to get involved. You've had this call to get on your bike, right? Ride transit, I know that'll be part of RTD's presentation as well. But we really would like to see all of you consider also our Citizens Academy, which will be in this fall, and will start September 28th. And there are a few graduates here in the audience, so if you have any questions, I'm happy to make that connection to you. But it's a wonderful opportunity to get sort of a landscape of how that idea of mobility and that venue of choices are really evolving here in the region, and a chance to figure out from that sense of an individual action plan where you could even step one by a bike or explore other opportunities like being your next city council woman, right? So I think it's a great opportunity. So with that, I'm happy to entertain any questions or turn it over. I think Gosha up next, right? You're not a big question audience, so I kind of knew that was
Yeah, I think this is kind of like preaching to the choir. I think everybody else already bought it, and we're just like reinforcing the idea. My name is Gosha Kang, and I'm a founder of Walk Denver. And I was going to start by saying that I'm the only person without wheels, with all the bike and transit advocacy and way to go, but that would have been a lie because I did bike here today. and I do most of the days actually. It's so convenient, and by the time I factor the time that it would take to park my car, it's just so much easier and faster to bike. So I'm a middle-aged mom of 2, so by no means typical cycling demographics with spandex and all the high-tech gear, but just being here in this building provides this opportunity and experience and encouragement about our tenants with new bike parking that discourages biking. It's the most obvious and convenient way to travel. Walk Denver was founded on the principle that people are pedestrians by design. Our bodies are made to walk. It's part of our DNA. And because we're pedestrians by design, our cities should be designed and built for pedestrians. Yet oftentimes, walking is referred to as alternative mode of transportation. So the question I like to ask is, alternative to what? Walk Denver vision is that by year 2040, Denver will be the most walkable city in the United States, and as a result, its residents will be the country's healthiest and happiest, and its economy will be thriving. Similar to what Sam was talking about, walking has similar benefits of community making,
health, supporting small businesses. And it's also the most accessible form of transportation, most accessible form of exercise. There's really very basic fitness level required to just go out on a walk, and there's no equipment needed, just a pair of shoes. Our mission is that Walk Denver advocates for policies and practices that will lead to more walkable Denver, and we're going to research for creating safe, comfortable, and fun places to walk. The reason we like to talk about walkability and walking is that we believe walkability is the foundation of every transportation system. Regardless of what choices you make during your daily travels, whether you drive or bike or use transit, at some point of this travel, you're a pedestrian. So making cities and starting designing cities transportation systems starting with a pedestrian makes more sense in our view. And walking is also very doable. This is Dr. Cobb data for the number of trips in a Colorado Front Range region every day, and about 25% of trips are less than a mile long, which is about 15 to 20 minute walk, which is very passable. And with the 15-minute walk to and from the destination, that provides 30 minutes of physical activity. That's what your doctor will ask you to do on a daily basis. So there it is. Then 1 to 3 miles is that really convenient bike ride. So biking and walking is very practical and possible, but we need the right infrastructure to do that. There are places like downtown, again, we're so fortunate to be here, and access to 6th Street Mall allows us to go out on a walk during lunch break. This is fantastic, but there's a lot of neighborhoods on the right where the sidewalks are completely missing, and in some cases they are very narrow or cracked and uneven. So it's really difficult to walk, even for a short distance, and it's a lot of times not practical, not convenient. We also know that in a lot of cases these are the low-income neighborhoods, so this is where the residents really depend on walking, because a lot of cases that's the only form of transportation they can afford. So a lot of our work focuses on advocacy for improved infrastructure, and we've been talking a lot about sidewalks and how they're funded in Denver, and trying to convince City Council to change the current policy that requires individual property owners to build and improve sidewalks in front of their property. And the project that I want to talk about to you specifically today is a walk scope tool that we have developed in partnership with Place Matters. It's an interactive map. Anybody with a smartphone can access it. You can also access it on your home computer or any other mobile device. This is a great opportunity to go out and collect pedestrian data, because we are trying to assess the need for sidewalk infrastructure in Denver. The WalkScope tool will ask you actually 3 types of questions. You can collect data regarding sidewalks, intersections, as well as pedestrian counts. And what we're hoping, what we're asking you to do today is to enroll in a data challenge. It's a project that we're working on with Denver Department of Environmental Health. And we're asking residents to register as a team and go out and collect pedestrian data in your neighborhood or in other neighborhoods. The challenge has just started on May 31st, and it will run through June 14th. So there's still time to enroll. There's great neighborhood prizes. A neighborhood can win up to $1,000 for neighborhood improvement projects such as public art, planters, or bike parking. It's a great opportunity during summer to get out with your neighbors. If you have teenagers at home that are out of school, like my daughter is today, and they're sitting at home in front of their phone, they can take their phone out and collect data, and they don't have to park with their phone, but they will be outside with their friends, and they can help inform policies in Denver that hopefully are going to change the current policy and encourage City Council to create a funding model or funding source to pay for sidewalks in Denver and make it safer and more accessible to a broader audience. So this is the end of my presentation. RTD goes next, unless there's any questions I'd be happy to answer.
So on the map, so I live in Northland. Northland doesn't have any data on here. Is it because you're not collecting data for the metro region, or just haven't gotten there yet?
So our advocacy is focused on city and county of Denver. It is possible to collect data in other areas. You're welcome to do it. I think we actually have some data points in Russia. But for our advocacy sake, we are speaking to the city, Denver City Council, so that's our focus. All right, thank you.
I'm Lee. I'm a planning project manager with RTD, and I think everybody probably knows that we're the regional transit agency. Some of you may be new to Denver, may not know, but I'm going to assume that you know a lot about RTD already, and you probably know about our bike and ride program. But just to basically state the three parts of our bike and ride program: bikes on buses. We have 2 bike racks on every bus except for the mall shuttles and the metro rides downtown. And we have bike access on every light rail and commuter rail vehicle. And fortunately, our commuter rail vehicles are now low floor, so you don't have to go upstairs to bring your bike on, or take them downstairs to bring them off. And then our third part of our bike and ride program is bike parking. We have bike parking at a lot of our major facilities, and it's and I'm going to focus on a recent plan that we produced called our Bike Parking and Accessibility Plan. The reason we did this is, as we've heard from other speakers, this is a biking town. Our customers want to be able to get to and from our facilities and park their bikes there. And we're basically saying we don't have enough, we can't put more capacity for bikes on our buses and trains. We really can't do that. So we're trying instead to encourage people to park their bikes at our stations and work with things like Bike B-Cycle, we'll talk about that in a minute, if you need a bike on both ends of your trip. We have lots of kinds of bike parking. Standard U racks. You can see those in the kind of middle left. We actually have what we call bike trees. That's in the middle. One of our facilities people, I believe, has a patent for that design. We have some decorative bike racks. I believe that one up on the upper right is at Louisiana Pearl Station. And we have bike lockers at many of our stations. Some things that we're doing that are new and working with others in the region. This is a bus bike shelter. It's up in Boulder County. There are 4 of these, I believe, and all 4 of them are on or near an RTD facility. We're also working with all the folks on US 36, with 36 commuting solutions and all the cities and counties in that corridor, to get 12 of these eventually, 2 at every station from Westminster up to Table Mesa. So someday we hope to have these. I see this as a middle ground kind of bike parking facility, a transit facility. We have some people who use very inexpensive bikes and are fine with U-racks. In fact, we get some complaints even from those saying, why do you pay for and take up space with bike lockers? Why doesn't everybody just use a cheap bike? On the other hand, we have the lockers because we have people who have expensive bikes and want to be able to cover their bikes up and are wondering why the heck we provide lockers. Doesn't everybody have an expensive bike? This is something in between. This is card key access. You don't need to go through RTD to get a lock. In this case, you work with Boulder County to get access to that cage. There is also a proposal out there. It's between NETC, we've heard that name a couple times here. It used to be the Stapleton TMA, and the city of Aurora to build 3 of these at the current Central Park Station on the University of Colorado A line, as well as Peoria and Isla stations on the soon-to-be open R line. We also work with B-Cycle, both in Boulder and Denver. We now have 6 locations in Denver and 2 in Boulder, where we've got co-located RTD and B-Cycle facilities. This one happens to be our most recent one at Decatur Federal. We are working right now with James Waddell of B-Cycle in Boulder to move a B-Cycle station from about where the National Institute of Standards and Technology on Broadway is, NIST, over to our Table Mesa Park and Ride, where they are saying they have a lot of demand. And frankly, we're not getting a lot of usage of our lots of lockers at Table Mesa. So this is a win-win because we'll probably take half of our lockers out there, possibly move them to some place where they're full, and instead replace it with a B-Cycle station. Part of the bike parking and accessibility plan was doing an inventory at all of our stations, and this is going to be very hard to read. I have the study, if anybody would like to see the actual study. There's one of these at every one of our facilities that goes over, I'll go away from the mic a little bit. What's the outline of the park and ride in the station? What's a half a mile radius from that station? Where are bike racks located? Where are bike lockers located? Is there a B-Cycle station? If we have racks and lockers, how many do we have? How many spaces of racks and how many lockers do we have? So we've done an inventory in our whole system of this, and it changes very frequently, so it's actually hard to keep up. That's one of the things I'm going to talk about later in our recommendations, which are policies to encourage and increase and improve bike access to transit, wayfinding and signage, working with our local government stakeholders to make sure that we can get to and from our stations easily, to find your way and have a safe facility to do so, as well as on-site of our facilities as well. Modify and enhance bike parking. Get some more, maybe consider putting more bike shelters in, bike and bus shelters, or bike and rail shelters. Maybe we would replace some lockers like we're considering doing in Table Mesa. Work with other stakeholders to enhance bike marketing and tracking and evaluating. To collect more data like we did for the bike parking and accessibility plan. Do more surveys of our customers. That's all I have. I don't have a call to action, but fortunately, Kathleen said it for me, which is try it out. Try a combination of bike, bus, and walk. And train, of course. Questions? That's pretty short.
Thank you. Okay, so our next presenter, I won't steal your thunder, but all the presenters up till now really are working in the transportation sector, most of them, as you've heard, focused on bikes. Our next presenter is going to be David. He's with a group called the Citizen Sustainability Alliance that is really just kind of getting up and running and working on creating a tool that we think applies to not only biking, but all of the different ways that we can love this place here in Denver. And so I'll let David explain what they're doing.
All right, thank you for that, Jessica. Yeah, my name is David Morrison, and I'm working on a project called CITSA. You can think of CITSA as a social media platform with the exclusive purpose of incubating and disseminating a culture of sustainability. Let's see. How does this work? Oh, there's a clicker here, isn't there? Yes. Went a little too fast.
Touchy.
Okay, so our vision is a thriving culture of sustainability, and that is one characterized by transformed political, consumer culture, and also community action. And we envision doing that, fomenting a culture of sustainability by facilitating it through technology, getting a critical mass of people involved in sustained, meaningful, and visible action for sustainability. Is a little slow on the response. Okay, so what are the ingredients for action? On an individual level, it's 4 kinds of knowledge. There's declarative knowledge, declarative knowledge basically answers how do things work. So this is like the greenhouse gas effect. It's not actually associated on its own with action. There's procedural knowledge. There's what should I do and how do I do that. So you've gotten a lot of that sort of knowledge today. It can also be, what sort of efficiency upgrades do I get for my home and how do I finance those? Effectiveness knowledge. So this answers the question, is this worth it? What is my role in sustainability? And do I feel like I can do anything about it? Social knowledge. So this is what do others think. So think about, the past 15 years and dog poop culture and how that's changed. So it used to be that you could take your dog on a walk and it could poop anywhere, and people might not like it, but you wouldn't get scolded for it. But if you do it now, you might get jumped in some places. So that's social knowledge in action. What do people approve or disapprove of? Let's see, the second part is a critical mass, taking sustained, meaningful, and visible action for sustainability. There is a social tipping point study. It's a meta-analysis of all of the social revolutions that have happened in the past 100 years, and it suggests that that number might be a little lower than we think. It's actually 3.5% of sustained, meaningful, and visible action. Once these movements hit that point, that threshold, none of them fail. All right, so Coloradans are ready. Let's see, their beliefs on climate change and self-efficacy. 70% of Coloradans believe that global warming is happening. This probably comes as a surprise to a lot of people. And for the same number, it is actually at least somewhat important to them personally. They also think that they can make a difference. About the same number, 70% believe in the efficacy of individual and collective action. Furthermore, Coloradans are already taking action. So in the past year, 50% of them have either punished or rewarded a business based upon their actions around climate change. And then they believe that government, corporations, and individuals all need to take more action. All right, furthermore, we actually have the critical mass. So that doesn't mean we have 12% of the population involved. This is a statistic from the Yale Project on Climate Communication. And it showed that 12% of the Americans are considered alarmed about climate change, which we consider a proxy for sustainability. And these people are, by definition, ready to take action. But not that many people are actually engaged. So how do we close the engagement gap? We've been holding interviews with different actors in the sustainability community, mainly members of the public and organizations. For members of the public, it's about time and incentives. So we'd like to, on this platform, we'd like to structure and streamline the process of getting informed according to the user goals, skills, and interests. Furthermore, we'd like to provide real-world incentives that are in alignment with those goals, skills, and interests. On the other side, for organizations, this platform offers a directory of skilled volunteers to build capacity. And it also provides a shared communication network amongst the sustainability community, helping to break down barriers across silos and even within silos. It gives them access to their target markets and allows them to coordinate. All right, so this is what this might look like in practice. So the know section here is how you build a knowledge framework on this platform. We broke it down into education and news. So when I talked about structure earlier, what I meant is in X time, you'll attend Y events in Z categories. So it just really simplifies the process of moving from, I guess I wouldn't say ignorance, but ignorance to conversance in sustainability. And this could be set according to, user preferences. How much time do you have? What we mean by streamline is if you click on food, energy, water, waste, for instance, the events being offered in your area will drop down. So the idea is that within a matter of minutes, you can plan out your month, your week in sustainability. So if you're on this platform, you would be able to see the upcoming collective action alerts in your area. So these are visible to the entire community. And just because I have a greater passion for energy than I do for food doesn't mean that I won't show up for a vote on that. Okay, let's see, the last part on this platform, we want to give people a sense of their effectiveness. So we don't want to do that by highlighting community accomplishments on a number of different scales, from the neighborhood scale up to the national scale. This could take the form of blog posts submitted by community members. It could also be news media articles shared on the platform. As more people join this platform, we'll have greater and greater amounts of aggregated data, and we could probably provide some encouraging statistics in that sense as well. Okay, so I talked about incentives earlier, and this is an idea of what that might look like. So we'd like to gamify the platform. For those of you who aren't familiar with that, the more you're involved with the platform, the more points you would accrue, the more badges you would acquire. And these would be associated with real-world incentives that are aligned with your goals, skills, and interests. So that could be discounts on sustainable products and services. We can partner with businesses. It could be access to people and events, if you're looking to network. And your profile will also double as a resume, which is actually very valuable for employers. All right, so how can you get involved? Let's see, the biggest way that you can help us out is by signing up for an interview. Interviews are about an hour long. We just gather people, gather your needs, your feedback, your ideas, and it's all very useful to us. And let's see, we bounce ideas off of each other, and the interviews are pretty fun. So I'd really like to see you guys out there. All right, there are more ways to get involved. This is a young project, and we have a lot of different needs that are supported. Let's see, the biggest need, where there's a big what's in it for you, is interviewing stakeholders. So that's talking to other actors in the sustainability community. It's a great opportunity to network. If you have any of these other skills, I would like to talk with you as well. Okay, let's see. So whatever time you have, we offer discrete tasks and clear roles that meet your needs. And last of all, this is an opportunity to meaningfully apply your skills to an ambitious project and a cause that matters to you. So whether it's you getting involved or somebody else that you know in your life that would like this opportunity, come talk to me afterward at the table. That's it.
Any questions for David right now?
So is this like an app platform? Because I just Googled you and I can't find you.
Because they're creating it.
He's not dying.
Yeah, that's
So it's like
so it is.
very
Yes, it
simple.
is it's a concept right now.
Got
If
it,
you,
okay.
I'd imagine our SEO wasn't very good. We have a WordPress that just kind of outlines the concept, but yes, it would be an application and web platform. So. Anything else? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, let's give one more round of applause for all of our wonderful speakers today. Thank you all also for all coming out and just participating in these events. We really appreciate it. With that, I'll say the event is not over. In fact, now is almost the most important part. I don't know if anyone has been filling out their action plan up till now. But love this place. One of the reasons that we picked this kind of tagline for Denver's sustainability push is because not only is it kind of the fun exclamation, like, yeah, we all love this place, but it's also an imperative, right? That we should love this place. Love really being a verb. And so that's what we've been calling this next section of these events, is love is a verb. And what we mean by that is just the fact that love, while it can be a feeling, you also have to put something behind that feeling. I gave the example last time. If I just told my fiance all the time I love you, but I didn't necessarily treat him that way, our relationship probably wouldn't go very well, right? And don't worry, we're doing fine. This isn't therapy for me. But the same is true with our relationship with our city, with this place where we live, is we can't just, feel nice things toward it and go, yeah, aren't I glad I'm one of those people who already lives in Denver. We have to actually show the city that we care about it. And one of the ways, as we heard today, is by biking and by choosing these sorts of forms of alternative transportation that are good for our city in terms of helping people get around, in terms of our own health, really for all the reasons that you heard this afternoon. And so we really just want to help you. What the worksheet is designed to do is to work through what you yourself can do to help love this place. So specifically today, we're talking about biking. There were a lot of great opportunities and calls to action that we heard. Whether you want to sign up for the Citizens Transit Academy, whether you want to just go sign up for Bike to Work Day. Maybe you're going to go join Bike to Work or join Bike Denver. Maybe you are going to join the Walk Scope Data Challenge. That sounds like a great one. Although selfishly, I hope you don't all because my neighborhood's vying for that $1,000. So go get some data, but not too much. But so the point of the worksheet really is to work through what are those resources that we heard about today. Hopefully there was at least one that you hadn't heard about yet. I know a lot of folks in this room are already fairly engaged with biking, but at least even some of it was new for me. So you can write down what those resources were. The second question is fairly straightforward. What action are you going to take? So maybe it's that you didn't know you had to sign up for Bike to Work Day. That really helps Dr. Cog count their numbers and kind of track how many people are engaging. If that's your one, think about what you're going to do. In this case, it's fairly simple. I'm going to sign up at biketoworkday.us. And then 3, we have this when on here. It may seem silly, but studies have found that we as people, we may have the best intentions of, I'm going to go home and sign up for Bike to Work Day, but oftentimes by the time we get home, we may have forgotten. And so if you can just take a minute, even just right now, to think through what your action is when you're going to do it, whether it's when you get home tonight, maybe it's tomorrow morning when you get to work and sit down in front of your computer, maybe it's this weekend when you have more time to dive into some of this information. Whatever it is, to just think to yourself for a moment, when specifically in my day, in my week, am I going to take this action? And we found that that actually helps folks be a lot more effective. And then finally on here, the last thing I wanted to announce is that right now our office is running a competition called the Love This Place Challenge, where we're just asking folks like you, anyone in Denver, you don't even have to live in Denver, you can live in North Glen or Denver metro area. If you live, work, or play in Denver, if you share with our office on our website, which is on here, what you're doing to love this place, whether it's with biking or with energy or with local food, just tell us what you're doing, why you're doing it, and upload a quick picture. It can just be a fun selfie. Hopefully no selfies while you're riding your bike, because we will not be responsible for accidents. But share with us what you're doing. And we've got some really fun prizes, everything from Red Rocks tickets to see some really cool shows this summer, to we've got a membership to the Denver Tool Library, we've got tickets to the zoo, the Botanic Gardens, Children's Museum, just a lot of really fun stuff. So tell us what you're doing, tell us also how Denver could try to make what you're trying to do better or easier for you. That's really what the Love This Place Challenge is. Any questions on that piece? No? Okay. So with that said, now I'm going to let all of our presenters go hang out by their tables out here in the, what do we call it, the Hub? Hub Cafe. And we're going to have an opportunity for all of you, maybe you were too shy to ask a question in front of everyone, or like we said, I know a lot of you in here are kind of the choir, maybe you don't need the 101 on how to commute to work. Maybe you want to talk to them more about, oh, you mentioned this thing you're doing, here's what we're working on, how can we collaborate? Or maybe you just want to work on filling out your action plan. Whatever it is, this is really your opportunity to connect one-on-one with our expert presenters who were here this afternoon, and to just really think through how we can all love this place more together. So that said, I'll excuse everyone into the Hub Cafe. Make sure to hang out. We're going to have happy hour starting here in about half an hour. And again, thank you all so much for coming.